where have we been? What have we been up to? Well, more than I can summarize really adequately, but I'm gonna do my best. July 1st, we actually took over and purchased a business. So on top of already owning a business myself, having the homestead, homeschooling, we thought, let's take on another business. That'll be fun, because what else are you gonna do with your time? All right, so for those of you who either don't know who we are or just trying to get things figured out, my family and I have moved to Wisconsin about 7 years ago. And when we did that, we really were just looking for a peaceful lifestyle. We were looking for just calmness in life, away from the hustle and bustle of the city, pressures that come with a lot of that stuff. And we just wanted to take a lot of things into our own hands, which included our own food. So food is like a enormous part of our lives. And obviously we all eat, but we take it extra seriously, because if we go back in time 7 years ago, our oldest son Ethan was still dealing with a lot of major health issues. He was diagnosed with epilepsy years and years ago when I think he was about 2. I do know. That's a topic for another day. It was right after his second birthday. I'll just leave it at that for right now. But he had developed epilepsy, and one of the things that, and we struggled to maintain and control that, like any parent would obviously like to do for their child. So we decided to do something bold after we had done a lot of research, hours upon hours, days and nights, and and that was food. And not just food, but like the quality of the food, the ingredients of the food, what the ingredients of the food were used to grow, meaning pesticides, herbicides, chemicals, versus just an organic soil fertility concept. I mean, we dove deep, like, to the point where we invested in our entire lives. Every ounce of spare time, every ounce of energy we could put into it, we just dove deeper and deeper. And when we came here to Wisconsin 7 years ago, we decided we were going to start a homestead. But the thing of it is when we actually came here, we had no aspirations of really doing it. We just wanted to get away. We just wanted to have a quiet, calmer life, get away from labels, get away from just the uncontrollable hecticness and stress that comes with city life. And sorry, I'm clearly driving, and so it's a little bouncy, I'm sure, because I don't have one of these cool, fancy, not really fancy, but whatever, the dash cam thing. So I apologize. But when we came here, we just wanted a peaceful, calm life, but we had no idea the journey that God was putting us on, and all that we were going to learn, all that we were going to do. So 7 years ago, we started a homestead. We switched to an entire 100% organic-based diet to wrap back to my son's situation. Once we did that, within a matter of 30 days or less, maybe even, he was seizure free, and he hasn't had one in 7 years. And the only meaningful thing that we did was change our diet to 100% organic, controlled what we ate, produced what we ate, and when we took that stuff seriously, his health infinitely returned, with absolutely no pharmaceuticals involved, no therapies, no nothing. Just we're conscious on what we ate. So here we are now, 7 years later. But where have we been? What have we been up to? Well, more than I can summarize really adequately, but I'm going to do my best. So rewind life back to June. End of June, we had Jackson, our youngest son, our 1-year-old, was not doing well health-wise. But we couldn't really put our finger on it. We've been to the pediatrician, we've done different things, and there was just, as a parent, things aren't right, but yet it wasn't so blaringly obvious for us or a medical professional to actually see what was going on. But eventually, through divine intervention, literally God himself coming through and dictating our outcomes, we went down to Madison. And Madison for us is where we use our children's hospital. And we went down there, ironically enough, not for Jackson, but for his brother. And therein lies the divine intervention part. Corbin got his situation taken care of. He was fine in a couple days. But Jackson we brought down with because he just hadn't been doing well. Long story short, he ends up getting hospitalized. We ended up finding that he's got a variety of things going on that required not one but 2 emergency surgeries. That was June 28th, I believe, when we actually went down to Madison. His first surgery wasn't until the first part of July, but he was down there hospitalized. Well, July 1st, we actually took over and purchased a business. So on top of already owning a business myself, having the homestead, homeschooling, we thought, let's take on another business. That'll be fun, because what else are you going to do with your time? And so July 1st, we took over the business. Simultaneously, I'm here locally getting the business off the ground, working 7 days a week, round the clock, basically. And Jessica was down in Madison with Jackson, which for us is a solid 2.5 hours minimum. And so that means that I couldn't just simply pop in when I wanted. I couldn't just simply, exchange. Bear with me, I'm going to get out of the sun here. All right. Home sweet home. All right. So we couldn't just switch. We couldn't be each other's support person in the flesh, if you will, right there side by side. We were stuck with having to do a virtual relationship and help each other morally, spiritually, through advice and whatnot that way. But she was down there for over 3 weeks. I think it was almost a solid month by the time that she got back. And so we had owned a business for 3 solid weeks before she set foot in the store itself. Life, of course, as you can imagine, after a month of that was beyond exhausting. It was about a week before we could even pull ourselves up. If you've ever been going 1,000,000 miles an hour for a week, 2 weeks straight, and then finally everything comes to a calming state, your fight or flight mode just goes into rest mode. And we needed like a solid 2 weeks to just, I can't even say relax, but just be not on the go 100 miles an hour. Then on the first day that Jessica and I had taken to be with each other, kind of take an afternoon away from the store, no hospitals, no medical care, early August, we went out on a date. And about an hour and a half into that date, our oldest daughter, Callie, she calls and says, "Mom, Dad," and she's virtually in tears, "the house is flooding. The house is flooding." And of course, we're trying to understand what she's talking about because A, it hadn't rained in a long time. B, we have a beautiful property where our home is elevated from all the bodies of water that we're at, so there's no risk of that being an issue. And she says, "There's a waterfall coming from our ceiling." And she starts showing us a video of what's going on. And literally in the basement, the ceiling tiles, we have a drop down ceiling. The ceiling tiles, it's just coming down, just pouring down. And not only No, that's in the living room, and then it's coming in from the bathroom too. So it's coming down in our basement bathroom, it's coming down in our basement living room, it's just pouring, pouring in. Well, we come to find out that Corbin had learned to turn on the water on the tub in the upstairs bathroom. Then he proceeded to throw in the bath mats and the bathroom rugs, washcloths, gloves, clothes, anything that he could find, he just threw in there because why not? Why wouldn't you? And he clogged the tub. And then, to make matters worse, he proceeded to close the door. And if you're like my family, if you walk by and you see a bathroom door closed, and you know that there are other bathrooms in the house that you can easily use, you just keep on moving by, and you don't really think much about it. So we don't know exactly how long this has been going on. And so our entire basement basically flooded. We've lost multiple bathrooms, bedroom, my office, basically, again, the whole living space downstairs. We moved from hotel to short-term rental to short-term rental, just surviving as they were going through this. If that wasn't enough, could you believe it? So if that couldn't have gotten any worse, that water damage through a series of fumbles made by the remediation companies led us to not only have a flood damage, but it turned into mold. And so that extended our problem of being outside of our house for a whole lot longer than we ever could have imagined at the beginning. And so we finally settled into a long-term rental, which is a beautiful place, but not necessarily suitable for the little boys. Plus, it's a half hour away from our home. It's about 25 minutes away from our new business. And so we put on more miles in the last couple months than we have in the last few years. Callie has been a rock star. She's our oldest daughter. She's been coming to the farm 3 times a day to milk. We've got calves, bottle babies. All the farm chores still need to be done. I mean, we still have a working homestead with, if you don't know, dairy cattle, beef cattle, goats, sheep, chickens, ducks. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Plus, we've got seasonal animals galore, including to this day here in mid-November, a boatload of chickens that should have been butchered a long time ago. And if you see outside from where I'm at, that's snow, people. We are so far behind. So now we've had the new store that's kicked off, our home that has been just dismantled. Add to that our tractor on a homestead, the thing that was so vital to make our efficiencies and productivities be done well here when we're not living at home, totally broke down. An entire new engine, somehow, some way. I got a crack in the radiator, and all the coolant leaked out, and it's shot. The good Lord blessed us with the insight years ago when we bought it to have an insurance policy, which is covering it. So we're not out terribly from a financial perspective, but it broke down in the most horrific spot. I brought a round bale out to the beef cows, dropped it, got off to undo the twine, and as I did that, it just went put, pum, and it never started again. So the tractor was up on a hill. It was in a bad spot. It took me a long time to get somebody out to be able to pull it out because, of course, we went through all the process of trying to figure out what in the world went wrong. We had diesel mechanics out. We had a variety of people out. And it turns out it was shot, locked up. It's not the right way of saying it. Lost pressure in 3 of the cylinders. And so it was toast. The engine was gone. And so we have just been in full-blown survival mode. For months, and it's exhausting. But God has given us an opportunity to breathe, to take some Sabbath, if you will, and get get right in the head. And we've been very, very blessed to have some dear friends be able to help ground us, help us stay focused, help us stay focused spiritually here on the homestead. They've just been tremendous, and we love them to pieces. But we're back, and the homestead is coming together. We are so far behind. Winter chores, winter prep, virtually non-existent. Virtually non-existent. And in Wisconsin, that's gonna be brutal. So where are we at? We're still not at home. We're hoping by mid-December we'll be back home. And even if that's the case, it may not be a totally functioning house, but it will be close enough for us to move back home. B, still don't have a tractor. Quite frankly, I don't even know how quickly that's going to be. It could be 2 weeks. It could be 6 weeks. I don't know. As far as I know, we're still waiting on all the parts to be able to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So your guess is as good as mine on when that will be. So it's added to our inability to do deep cleaning on the farm going into the winter. Deep mucking. Now this stuff is starting to freeze. It's going to be a pain in the ass whenever we get to it. Moving hay is more difficult. It's more costly because now we got to buy small squares instead of using round bales. So it's more labor intensive. It's costly. It's just a brutal game. We still have the store. That does not seem to get any less in terms of a burden, but there's some clarity coming on that as well. And so we're breathing, we're focusing, we're getting back. And I say all of this because one of the big things that we're going to be doing is having an increased emphasis on our homestead, putting our priorities back there, making sure our family is taken care of, making sure that we're providing for ourselves, especially with all that is going on in the world anymore. It's to not be prudent in this stage is just negligence for yourself and your family. And so we got to get ourselves back in the game. We were on top of things, and life has kind of gone sideways. And so we're getting ourselves back. And as we do that, we're going to be bringing things back into our channel because we did enjoy it. We're starting to figure things out on the editing side. And so we hope that you will come along with the ride, follow along, and we will be giving you updates as we go. Have a blessed day. We'll see you soon.